Guys, welcome to the third meetup of Q4. This is a meetup where we'll be chatting about the whole hackathon submissions. We'll see some cool things. And of course, we will announce the winners of this quarter's hackathon. So, yeah. To put this into a little more whole context, for those of you who are new, we tend to have 3 meetups every quarter, one a month. The first meetup is basically a roadmap of what the Investec team guys have planned for that quarter, what they're going to be producing. So what Henny and Ernst and Skuman will be building out, and of course what they've launched in the last quarter. Then that second meetup is a fun sort of space where we just play around with some cool ideas, some cool things. And then the third meetups is really the demos and around there. But we do try to have demos at every one of these meetups to just keep things just moving along and to learn new and different things. Guys, as a reminder, we do record these sessions for those who can't attend. And of course, it's for a learning sort of experience. If you are new, please feel free to wave at the camera, to say how's it in the chat, to use a Slack. Yeah, Peter, yeah, there we go, man. So feel free to do that. And of course, we have the Slack group there for you if you want to keep on with the discussions. So the agenda tonight, it's short, but it's jam-packed with a lot of very cool things. So we have 5 demos. So so there are 7 submissions for hackathon. The top 5 guys, they'll be doing a quick sort of whole demo, 10 minutes each, some questions, anything around that. And then of course, we'll announce the winners. And then of course, a big thank you to everyone, and another way for the guys who are participating, who are at this meetup, to get some swag themselves. Also with feedback, I'll pick a few guys to get some more swag around there, but not as cool as the whole hackathon winners swag pack that who busy putting together. Cool. Any questions about the agenda? You guys happy with that? Cool. Yeah. Guys, remember, these demos are live, so things can go wrong. If anything does go wrong, we'll move on to the next one, and we'll come back to it after everyone has gone. So please bear with us. These are live. You know how the routine goes. So yeah, cool. We will be going through the demos in this order. It's not a reflection on the winners. Don't think it is. Hugs, I know that. No, it's not a reflection of the rankings. It's simply of the guys who submitted and the time. So those guys submitted. Cool. Any questions about that? You guys happy with that? Yeah, Kaylin's happy with that. Awesome. Guys, again, if you can, please, the guys' feedback is great. Feedback is just awesome, and it really helps to improve it, because again, these are some concepts, these just good ideas that the guys have kind of put together. We do have on the call, I see Stephen's on the call, and Stephen's our VP of Community at OfferZen. Stephen, do you want to say how's it to the guys?
How's it, everyone? I know some of you people I've never met before. Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me. Super excited to see what everyone's building. I was involved in the very original first requests being made and hacking around. So I'm very excited to see where it is now. I haven't been here for a while. So I'm excited, and I'll also be jumping on giving feedback as well as much as I can. So hopefully that's useful. If not, just ignore me. But thanks for having me.
Cool. Thank you, Stephen. So the first one up is Investec, is interest or maximizer. Brookie, are you ready to demo?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Cool. So I will just start sharing my screen. There we go. So just want to confirm everyone can see some code on the left-hand side and a terminal on the right-hand side, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yep. Great. So the idea behind this project that I submitted, I call it the interest maximizer, and it's all about interest that's compounded daily. So as we all know that, Investec has these products, for example, the Prime Saver, which is kind of pretty standard. which accrues your interest on a daily basis. And then this also is the same for a home loan or property loan or whatever. So we can take advantage of this by keeping as much money in these accounts as possible on a daily basis, because that then kind of means that the money that's in your transactional account, the one that you used to swipe with, is actually not helping to this interest that you're building up or having to pay down or pay off. So what I'm going to do is I'm just quickly going to take you through the code. I'm not going to dive into details, just to get the gist of the logic, and then I will show you how it works or what it looks like when it runs, and on how it's running in Heroku. So looking at the code, basically we just put our API details in a process. This is running on Node, by the way. So then we have to specify our transactional account ID as well as our savings or loan account ID. So there is a script for that as well, that you can get those IDs from the Investec API, along with the facility that you have set up, and a minimum balance that you want to keep. So basically we want to avoid jumping into our facility. So your minimum balance could be 0, but if you have some big deposits or whatever going off, then it's nice to have a bit of a padding with a minimum balance as well. So as our first step, we just sign into the API with Investec. So this is a nice sort of client that I wrote a while ago, that you can use. You get a list of your accounts, and then we just find which is your transactional, which is your savings account. From there, we get the balance for your transactional account. Then we try and see, okay, do you actually have more money in your transactional account than the target is, or do you have less? So the idea being that if there's more, we want to take all of that and put it into our savings account. If there's less, it means that you're busy swiping, you're busy shopping, you're eating at a restaurant or whatever, you just paid. So we'd want to avoid getting into our facility. So we take money back from the savings account and put it into our transactional account. So this is the part here. And once we've made that decision, we just simply call the transfer API with the from account to the to account, and that's it. So what this looks like then, if I run it, it's just simply running a maximize interest script. Takes you with a bit of logging through the steps as it goes out. I now, in this case, transferred 500 Rand before this demo from my private bank account to my saver account, or rather from my savings account to my bank account. So it now sees there's an imbalance, so it corrects the balance. So if I run it again, it should say that everything is balanced, so it doesn't do anything. So this is pretty useful. So then how it runs is it runs with Heroku. So this is a really great platform for if you're a hobbyist and you just want to run something in the cloud. They've got this nice thing called Heroku Scheduler, which is basically just as a resource on your app or whatever that you have of Heroku. From here, you can just add a job. It's linked into the code base that you have. And it does auto deploys and so on. So every time you push, it gets the latest code. I found every 10 minutes is a bit too often. So, if you go out on a shopping spree, then you're doing a bunch of transactions. So every 10 minutes becomes a bit aggressive. So I run it on an hourly basis, and yeah, that's it. And it keeps my accounts quite balanced. Thank you so much for the time to present this to you all.
Cool. Thanks, Matt. Any questions? Hugs? Any feedback? Questions?
Yeah, it was a really nice implementation. We all love the fact that you used added the Investec API NPM repo, which was really cool. Nice way to give back. It's got a lot of potential. I think we just felt it was a little bit complex for like anybody to just pick up and use, but that could obviously be built, later on and at a future time. It's not like you could build something on top of this quite easily later on and build on it. So yeah, all in all, a really solid solid implementation and a really nice piece of work.
Thanks.
What was the pending transactions and a big issue in the beginning? Because I see that there's quite some interesting code to work out what the pending transactions and the actuals are, etc.
Yeah, so that's with the pending transactions, it's a bit tough because it doesn't actually get returned with the transactions call. Because we don't want to dip into our facility, these pending transactions make it you have to figure out what the difference in the actual balance is, because if you're also just, I think if you're just looking at the balance, then you might dip into your facility if you don't take those into account. So it was a bit of implicit. I think Russell posted a message about it, and I was like, okay, that actually is a good idea. So thanks for that. But yeah.
Awesome. We'll put it on the backlog.
Yeah, I'll follow up with that. Cool. Any other questions? Does anyone else have anything to add or questions? Good. Vicky, is there anything that you would like to ask the community, the guys? Anything you wish Investec could do that would make life more easier for you?
Maybe, I don't know if this is the correct timing, but setting up the API library, I realized there was quite a bit some inconsistencies in the responses from the Investec API. Sometimes things are capital case and sometimes it's camel case. I think maybe just that, but nothing major otherwise.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. That's great feedback. Thanks, man. And then matching on from that Russell thing, Russell, are you ready to present your solution? Thank you very much, Vicky.
Yes, I am.
Very cool. Yes, man. Cool.
Can you confirm when you can see my spreadsheet?
Confirmed.
Okay. All right, I'll kick off. Thanks very much for the opportunity to present. So mine is a sort of complex, simple solution. So it's simple in that it's been implemented on a spreadsheet, okay, because most people have got access to Excel. With Visual Basic for applications as the basis for the coding in the background. So the purpose of this, I call this BankBot because it's an automation tool of mine for my personal finances. And there's three major things that it does from a transfer perspective in terms of utilization of the transfer API. The first is that it can just do a manual type of transfer where I just instructed on the amount that I want transferred, which is a fairly simple, and it uses the API to put that transfer through. The second is what I call auto transfer, which is similar to what Frederick has just discussed. I've got a sort of threshold amount, but I've actually got then also a sort of a band that you can set. So when it looks like it's going to drop below the threshold amount, and the reason I say looks at is it also considers the pending transactions that are coming in. By virtue of taking the amount that is available, you know what your credit limit is, you're thus able to work out what the pending transactions are. And then what it does is it transfers either in or out of the account according to what is required. I'll get onto the automation a little bit later. The automation is a little bit clumsy. It works, but it's not as good as what Frederick just showed, I reckon. The other thing that it does, other than transferring in and out automatically in order to optimize interest across your accounts, is I've developed a thing called syntax. So very quickly, the idea behind syntax is when you do naughty spend is buying takeaways, going to restaurants, perhaps even putting in fuel. When you put in fuel, you're damaging the environment. So you should really be donating X% of that amount to some charity. And the idea behind it is I've repurposed one of my savings accounts as a syntax account, and I'll show it to you in a moment. And then what happens is each time that transactions are ingested, it runs it through a calculation and determines the amount of syntax and does an automated transfer. And the idea is that at some point during the year, I'll take whatever's in the syntax account and I'll distribute it to the charities that I support. So this over here, the modules of the solution are housed in different worksheets within the workbook. So this is the parameters worksheet. You'll see I've got 30 parameters over here. I'm not, obviously you don't have time to go through them. So I want to maintain my account at 5,000 is the lower limit. So if after the pending transactions are going to drop below 5,000, it must restore those. Then I've got switches for enabling into and out of transfers over here, which I've got set on with a yes. And I've got, is your syntax activated? And I've said yes, so it will calculate syntax. Okay, so those parameters have been maintained. So the next thing we'll do is we'll check at our portfolio. So I've got quite a bit over here. I've got my entire financial portfolio, including accounts with other organizations, my investments, etc. I've just blanked them all out with white text so that you guys can't see them. And these are the two accounts that we're concerned with. The first is the main account, which is currently sitting at that balance over there. And there is the pending amount that is about to come through. So you can see if you take the 2,800 off of the 7,800, you'll end up with 5,000. So BankBot has currently got it set at 5,000. I've currently accumulated 84 Rand in the syntax donation sort of fund or ring-fenced fund. So take note of that figure for a little bit later. Okay. In the background as well, what the solution does is it also associates supporting documentation. So if you look in my BankBot folder, I've got these over here, which are basically just images or scanned PDFs of the expenditure that I've done. So as my wife goes and spends my money, she hands me the slips and I take pictures of them and I just drop them in that folder. It's a cloud folder. Okay, and then what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to transfer out of the main account to force it to thinking that to force BankBot into saying, hey, you know, you've used up some money. So I've got account numbers in here, which I've also blanked out in white text so that they don't come up on the recording. And what I'll do is I will initiate a transfer. If you take a look over here, you'll see my current token has expired, okay? And what's going to happen now is when it executes the transfer, it takes a little while. We've got to go and get a new token. And then you'll see over there, that amount has now been transferred. You'll also see I've got rich text messaging. So it says I've transferred 575 and it uses friendly account names. Even though I've got the account IDs in there, it actually translates them into the friendly name so that I don't expose that data on this messaging app. Okay. So it now, it gives you your confirmation code, etc., and it gives you fairly rich text to tell you what it is that it's done. Then, now that we've done that transfer and we know that we're in a state where BankBot's going to need to take action, I'm just quickly going to show you the other spreadsheet. So if you take a look at transactions, now I've blanked all of this out in white text, but I've got a year's worth of transactions below here. It always feeds in at the top. So you can see there's no transactions sitting up at the top here in black text, okay? And the temporary housing solution is an API, this API worksheet, which is where the data gets brought in before it gets ingested into my system, okay? And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you, I'm going to basically ingest a whole lot of transactions that are pending that haven't yet come into the system. And I'm going to show you the steps that the system will go through now in order to basically follow through with the automatic transfers and syntax calculation, etc., that needs to take place. Okay. All right. So let's go now to my portfolio. So I'm going to click on this button, and what it's going to do is it's going to execute the same process that I have that takes place on a daily basis. It'll take a little while to process. So you'll start seeing messages popping up. So it's went and it found 64 transactions. And what it does is, if you take a look over here, it tells me what my current balances are. It then says, oh, hang on, if I take 7,200 minus 2,800, we're going to have a problem here. You've dropped below your 5,000 Rand limit. It then does a rounding factor. So it rounds to the nearest 100, and I've got a parameter set where.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, 1 second. I'm not sure if you're expecting us to see something that's happening, but it's.
Oh, goodness. Are you not seeing anything at the moment?
It's just on the portfolio summary. That's the only screen we're seeing at the moment. Is that correct?
Oh, okay. Sorry. Let me transfer this then. You share. Thanks very much for letting me know. Sorry.
Oh, all good.
Let me actually share my screen. Yeah. Are you able to see Telegram messaging now?
Yes, that is.
My apologies for that. Sorry, guys. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, so this is the first message that came through. So this is where I transferred the 575 earlier. This is telling you how many transactions it ingested into the system. This is telling you what the balance is that it's extracted. And it then says, with that balance, you're going to drop below your 5,000 parameter that I've set, and it does a 600 Rand transfer. It either rounds up, to either 100 Rand or 1,000 Rand. You set that in the parameters and tells you what your new balance is. It then ingests the transactions, everything with a tick here. It was able to do what's called an auto classification. I'll show you classification in a moment. Okay, so it classifies those expenses for me for reporting later on. It then performed a calculation for syntax and came up with this value, and it performed an automated transfer and put it away for me. And it then associated the files, those PDF files that I spoke about earlier. It shows you which ones are associated and which ones couldn't be associated. Okay, I need to speed up. It does a quick budget assessment and reports on that. I'm not going to go into detail on that. Okay, I'm going back to the spreadsheet. Can you see the spreadsheet?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what happens now is if you go and take a look at the transfers, you can see that there was a syntax transfer and there was a 600 Rand transfer to restore the balance to the so that it's above 5,000. How it calculated that syntax is if I go to the transactions over here and I make these, I just need to quickly, sorry, bear with me a moment while I just make them visible. I'm just trying not to show my personal finances here. Okay, so these are all the transactions that came in, okay? And effectively what happens is over here, if you double click on one of these, the associated document will actually come up. So over there, that'll be a fuel receipt, okay? And if we take a look at the balance, if you look at these ones that are red, they don't have receipts, and it's just alerting me to the fact that I will need to get them later on. If I go and take a look at, very quickly, if I take a look at the portfolio, and I say, let me refresh these balances, you'll see that the balance increases by that 7.63 Rand, and then you got 7880, which is what the balance has been restored to make sure that after the 2,800 comes off, it will still be above the 5,000. So sorry, I've run out of time. That's basically it. Just to wrap up very quickly, there's an automation portion to this where I've got a script that is basically executed by Windows Task Scheduler that can do it as often as I want to. I only currently do it on a daily basis. When you go into transactions, you've got the standard Excel functionality where you can you can effectively filter. So you've got full control of your information. As a layman, you can say, I want to see everything that I've spent on restaurants, for instance. And it's, sorry, where am I clicking? I say I want to see everything of restaurants, and what it'll do is it'll confine that to that. So it's very easy to see. You can always click on to check my supporting documentation, etc. So that's basically it. Any questions? Sorry, I've got some more reporting in the background, but I've run out of time.
It's very cool, mate. I think if anyone wants to see more reporting, they can chat with you in the Slack group and stuff.
Yeah, super well done. Lots of features, covers a hell of a lot of bases. The fact that it uses Excel is also like a massive plus, right? It makes it feel like anybody can come and grab this and just and use it, which is a huge plus as well for the sort of everybody, and not needing to necessarily know a ton of coding or to know like how all these things work in the background. So yeah, really impressed.
Thank you.
I don't have anything to anything to add in terms of what you could have done more. It was just there's so much of features in there. It's pretty cool. Well done.
Thank you.
And apologies, but I have to leave now. So to everybody else, well done. There were some really awesome submissions, and we had lots of fun going through them and evaluating them. Thank you, everybody, for all your submissions and taking the time and making the effort to do something for the community and for the hackathon. So enjoy the rest of the evening. All the best to the winner. Enjoy your prizes. Thanks a lot. Cheers, everyone.
So, thanks.
Cheers, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Cheers.
Cool. Anyone else have some questions? Anything to ask Russell?
Yeah, Russell, I was wondering maybe about your transaction classification. How are you doing that? Were you only looking at point of sale and like using the merchant category codes, or did you label
no.
like NFTs and all those kinds of things as well?
I neglected to actually show that portion of it just because I was running out of time, but I've got and I'll show it now very quickly if I can. Let me just do a quick screen share again. So I've got a classification spreadsheet over here, and effectively in this, I'll basically take a keyword from the descriptor field. So for instance, I know that Zappa is where I would normally spend restaurants. So it runs through this entire list that you see over here with each transaction very quickly and basically says, is this keyword in the descriptor field? If it's in, then classify it as an expense and entertainment and restaurants. And no, I don't need supporting documentation, or yes, I do, and apply syntax to it. So this is like a area of master data that a user would maintain beforehand according to their preferences, and it can be easily added to. So you just add on to the bottom. It dynamically goes and looks how big the spreadsheet is. Basically the user's got full control over that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Any more questions you can ask in the chat, in Slack? Oh,
Okay, I'm going to mute now.
One question. So if you spend with the card on the afterhook, there's actually a merchant categorization that comes through. I don't know if that is something that you could potentially bring into your master sheet, because that could help with your automatic categorization. And
that's a flipping good idea.
And have you had plans to bring this to Google Sheets, perhaps? Because I don't run on Windows.
Yeah, I was expecting to get this backlash. I was expecting the backlash, and I take it on the chin. I actually am very interested to see what happens in Google Sheets, and that's something I'm going to experiment with. I have not done anything on Google Sheets with it, but your idea is a fantastic one. I hadn't even considered that, and I think I will explore that. I've chewed up a lot of time. Nick?
Overall, it was phenomenal.
Cool, and thank you very much, Russell. Very cool. And then on to the next one by Mike White, Cash Yo Cash, which was, I kind of had a giggle about that name for a while, so forgive me. Mike.
Cool. Let me share my screen quick, and forgive me because I don't ever use Zoom, so I don't know what I'm doing. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, cool. First thing I wanted to show is just like, okay, so the way I Dockerized my thing. So basically, you just run docker compose build, docker compose up, and then everything gets set up. The reason I wanted to show this is because when I first did it, which was at the start of this meeting, because I was very busy at work today, it suddenly started failing, and I realized it's because I'm running on my girlfriend's Mac, and they just updated it. They just updated Mac to apparently block port 5000, which is like the default for Flask. So it broke my app, but I just quickly fixed that. But I thought I'd mention in case that happens to anyone else with Flask. Anyways, here is my sort of entry. This is essentially the idea I had was my dad is a doctor who runs his own practice, so he ends up doing like provisional tax. And my mom runs his practice and has to do a lot of the bookkeeping, but she's not an accountant, so she has to kind of just fumble her way through it. And it often happens that they wouldn't know exactly, what their tax liability is at any point in the year, and they would just end up, not necessarily being either having like way more saved up or way less saved up, like whatever it was. So it ended up being quite a stressful thing, and it made me think like this is kind of weird. Like this should be something that's easy to track. I don't know if there are existing things to do this, but I'm sure they probably are. But I thought I'd do it with programmable banking. So. And I did have to make some assumptions about the tax calculations. Like I didn't include like things like assets. These things can be, added in, but it was just going to make the actual tax calculation more complicated than it needed to be for proof of concept. So basically, there's the overview page. At the top, you can select when the end of the financial year is, and then it'll automatically adjust the transactions that it's actually taking into account. Based on like a year previous to that, and up until this point that you've entered. It'll then, based on all the transactions, it'll do a tax calculation and figure out the tax liability. It does that based on, just looking at taxable income. And this is all fake data, by the way. This is, so it'll do taxable income, or a mixture of real and fake data, I should say, actually. But you'll work out your taxable income, your deductible expenses, other deductions, work out profit, and then use the corporate tax rate to kind of calculate what the liability on that would be. And then it will graph it here compared to your holding account balance, which you can configure, and then not in the interface, but it can be configured on the back end. And basically it will give you a view on like how prepared are you to actually make your provisional tax payment that you're going to need to do. So then also there's to be able to actually like interact with that in the interface, you can then also make a transfer over here. And that'll cap out at the maximum amount that would be required to balance out with your tax liability. Okay, you can see here, this is a little bit janky because it doesn't refresh properly, but you can transfer and it'll reflect over here. It's hard for me to show the transfer actually going through because I don't want to show my bank account, but I will show you that I get a message or something. But you can see 30 Rand there, but it doesn't reflect immediately. I have to refresh. I'm not a front-end dev, so it's not perfect. But you can see that that's gone up by 30 Rand, hopefully, on the screen. So yeah, that's that part of it. Then the next kind of section is the transactions. This integrates with, and this videos are blocking me. This interacts with the Investec API to like allow you to retrieve your transactions, import your transactions. So we can see here, there's 61 transactions there, and I haven't imported for a few days. So if I just import these now, then we should see that increase. Did it? I might not. I might have actually imported these transactions. Okay. Either way, I can kind of, I'll move past that. I can see if I can work it out later, make another transfer and then do it. Cool. Then from here, just to show, you can then select any of these transactions. And if it's a debit, so I'm having to drag this, there we go, it's at the bottom now. You can, if it's a debit transaction, you can select over here and say add expense, and it will allow you to say whether it's deductible or not, and you can edit the description. And if you submit this, then it will add it to the expenses table later on. I'll come back here to demonstrate how that works. And then on the flip side, if I do this with a credit transaction, then it will allow you, it'll have the same sort of thing, except you also have this slider over here that allows you to select some amount to transfer, and that again will go from like 0 to the percentage to the amount based on the corporate tax rate. Okay, cool. So then if I go to income, you can see these are kind of the items that I've got at the moment. You can also manually add in case there's something that doesn't come through your account, your Investec account. So I can just do this, just demo. So if I do this, then we can see that that has gone over there to test demo over there. Cool. And then it's same sort of thing applies for expenses. You can do the same sort of thing. But to show that the transactions kind of translating into those, I can make one here. So if we look for something that hasn't been listed yet, I think this one hasn't been processed yet. So this cactus cage, you can see if it's been processed in this column. So we can go over here, add this as an expense, submit. And over here, we can see it reflects over there. Cool. So then the next thing you got is just deductions. And this one is, no, it doesn't integrate with the transactions page, because this would be stuff that doesn't come off your account as an expense directly, but it's some other form of deduction. But yeah. So all of this will exist at the moment. It exists locally in like a local DynamoDB instance. Like there's a Docker image that you can kind of host, and then it'll act the same way as if you're connecting. You just, with any AWS command or API, you just provide the host URL as being like localhost, whatever. So this has all been done like that at the moment. Yeah, I don't know if I can like show you the transactions actually coming through, except by, oh, I can show you on my phone, perhaps. The fact that, I don't know if we'll be able to see that, but you can see the, and it's going to be reversed, but you can see that the transaction for 30 Rand's gone through. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's kind of interesting about this to kind of further explain. So maybe I'll just leave it open if anyone has any questions. Yeah.
Mike, I just wanted to know, what does your dad need next?
What does he need next, did you say?
Yeah, what's next in the pipeline for this?
So I think, like, to be honest, like if I was gonna like develop further on this, like the main thing, like the base is there, I think, but what would need to happen for this to actually be applied is just a more sophisticated like tax calculation in terms of being able to take into account assets and all sorts of stuff like that. But to me, that was like the less interesting part to focus on, rather than all the other kind of, you know, features related to more to the programmable banking stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I think it would be cool to, you know, you can build a lot of stuff on top of this. But yeah, I probably could have gotten a lot more done if I didn't try and make the front end look like marginally or like relatively okay. That took a really long time for me because I'm not a front end guy.
It looks pretty good. Hey, like I would use this.
Yeah.
I would also use this.
Yeah, well, as I say, I think if I had a front end dev with me, it would probably look like quite a bit better, and it would have been done like in probably like 75% less time, because really like so much of my time was spent on this. Oh, the other thing I didn't mention, which is maybe interesting as far as the community goes, is that for the backend, I used Flask, and there was an existing there's an existing client for Python, but it hadn't been updated in a while with the programmable cards stuff and the transfer API. So I created a fork of that, whatever. I would have just made a pull request, but I was under a lot of time pressure to actually get anything done for this. So I just kind of forked it, and maybe I'll reach out and see if they want to merge it back into their version. But I added support for the transfer API and stuff for this. So it's, but the base was very good. I don't know who this is, Vince. I've never met them, but it was a very good base to work from. So it was cool. Yeah. So
Vince, would you agree?
I'm pretty sure it's not me, Vince. It's probably a different Vince.
Okay, sorry, man.
but yeah, so
Yeah, I want to sort of, I think it was Aretha that said that I could really see myself using this. I think this is not, quite applicable to quite a few industries. If you work for yourself or you are a provisional income and a provisional taxpayer, it could be quite nice to do that and even aggregate that across multiple people. If you have sort of a tax practitioner that you sell it to the tax practitioner and they give it to their clients to manage on, it'll go a lot. It'll be quite cool to see that angle go out. But I do think it's a phenomenal place to be.
yeah, I think like what would be really cool is if you can kind of if I don't know if I heard this mentioned or if I like dreamt it, but I feel like I heard something about Investec having like third party like integrations at some point, like in terms of being able to like have something for like a sort of something where they can kind of log in through your app and give you some sort of permissions to act on someone's behalf, so that you could develop something that would operate on someone's account, but without
three-legged owl.
Yeah, sure. So I think with that you can actually like develop something here that could actually be used, but I don't know. As I say, I was just trying to have fun. I only started doing the programmable banking stuff like I think the day of the last meetup. So yeah. Anyway, that's me.
Yeah, so Mike, I think that from a documentation perspective, I think well documented. Definitely a real world application. One thing that I thought of in terms of evolutionizing is to almost have a simulator, almost do a pre-run through the transactions to almost pre-classify what type of, based on previous transactions, etc. So maybe as a thinking taking this forward. But I think that's well done, and I really like your approach in terms of first starting off on AWS remotely and then doing the DynamoDB locally. I think that's from a community perspective, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I work for AWS, so I'm kind of a bias, but I really like the products and stuff, but it can be a little bit annoying sometimes to like develop locally if you don't have like a company account that you can just deploy to and not worry about like your infrastructure costs as much, at least not as much. So I then realized like being able to host it locally was quite a benefit, and I developed it in such a way that it would be very easy to now translate this into something that would just use CDK to deploy a bunch of Lambdas and a DynamoDB and just kind of work. But yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. That
Sure.
was really cool. I really appreciate
Thanks.
the effort and everything that you've done. Thanks, man.
Am I still sharing? I can't tell on my
Yes.
side.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
there we go.
actually-
Pause. There we go.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Cool.
Literally first time using Zoom.
It's okay. It's all about the learning. It's all good. So the next up is Peter on home loans, the interest saver solution that you guys submitted. Ready, man?
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I mean, it was myself and my colleague Tiaan who developed this, but I couldn't make the call tonight, unfortunately. And this was basically his idea. So he was like always going on about his dad that managed to like knock off 4 years on his home loan because he'd always like put his salary straight into his home loan account and then transfer what he needed for debit orders. And it's something that I know Tiaan has been doing manually. So like on the 25th, he was kind of transferring a bulk of his salary to the home loan and then transferring it back. Because basically you get, I don't know, 4 or 5 days that you're not paying as much interest. And yeah, I mean, I did a quick math. It's, I think 1,400 days where you're paying less interest, not obviously no interest or anything. And I'm not exactly sure what the calculations are because it obviously scales depending on your salary and your like the size of your home loan and all of that. But yeah, you're definitely able to knock off some time and I guess pay less interest in total, which is quite great. Yeah, so I guess I just want to give one disclaimer. So we mostly work with like on-prem systems, and I've never like done anything on Azure really before, or AWS or anything. So I thought this was like a good opportunity to go the serverless route. And yeah, I think 90% of my time just went onto figuring out how to use like key vaults and deploying a function, but the actual code was like the quick and dirty part. So yeah, bear with me if there's anything that isn't quite right. But yeah, it's everything is basically a Azure function that gets that we deploy, and the whole CI/CD pipeline is set up. So you basically push to GitLab, and that pushes to Azure. And this is scheduled to run daily, I think, at 5 in the morning. And the basic idea is that you pull your balance from your transactional account and your balance from your home loan account, and you pull all the transactions, or you basically pull your statement for that day. And then I guess the neat part is you can kind of look for transactions which you expect. So there's like these two functions. So I think the one is called large deposit checker, and you can basically pass in a list of regular expressions. That's basically what it comes down to. So you can pass in, if you know what your statement, or you know what your salary looks like on your account, if you know you're getting rental income or investment income regularly or even irregularly, but you know what it looks like, you can kind of set up a list of custom regular expressions that will kind of just flag true to say, like the type of income that you expect to have come in that you'd want to contribute to your home loan temporarily came in, that will just flag as true. And then there's also just a checker to see what your available balance is. And basically you then transfer amount across to your home loan, depending on how much money you want to have in your account. So some lower limit that is available in your transactional account at any stage. And then another amount just specifying how much you want in your account for the first. So if there's any debit orders you're servicing or anything like that, you can at least have money available. Yeah, so I see I got a notification from Zoom saying my connection's unstable. So am I still there?
Yeah, you still, yeah, you came back.
Yep.
Thanks, man.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I hope I didn't miss anything. Yeah, so that's basically the gist of it. So we tried this out on Tiaan's account too. We set it up all today for him. So we originally set it up on my account. And it was a pretty effortless process to set it up. I think it took us half an hour, and again, most of the time was just clicking all the stuff on Azure. So I have the function running here. So I guess another disclaimer is I don't have a home loan, but I have a savings account, so we can run it, and it should transfer some money into my home loan account. I've just kind of put a lower threshold, so I know that there should be some money to transfer. I guess let's see what happens. Yeah, I'm not sure how familiar everyone is with like I guess these like serverless functions, but I've been struggling with the logs sometimes. So like I see things going through, but the logs don't appear. So I don't know if that's something that's just happening to me. Okay, but basically, yeah, there we go. Get our access token, get our statement, we check for large deposits, get the home loan balance, and transfer should happen. Okay, well, I don't know, the logs aren't displaying it, but yeah, in theory, the transfer happens. And yeah, I have validated that. So I've got some, I guess I could also show my app, but that's not maybe that informative, but yeah, there is money being transferred. I can hear my phone buzzing. Yeah, but that's basically the gist of it if anyone has questions. And I documented I documented my struggles with setting everything up on Azure, which is probably very familiar to most people on this call, but it was just kind of something valuable for me to refer back to. Yeah, so if there's any questions.
That was pretty cool. Thank you, Peter. I really love the part where you all documented the challenges and kind of just helping other people. That was really cool, man. Thanks.
Sure.
Cool.
Oh, sorry. Oh no, I just wanted to mention. I think you asked earlier if there's any like feature requests, and I was wondering maybe I missed something, but is there a place for us to get your overdraft from? Because I think it was Russell who posted the solution for kind of checking for your pending transactions. So I've kind of put like an MR open that I just take that into account, but I kind of hard code my overdraft facility, and that's something I'd probably like to pull in automatically from somewhere. So I was wondering if that's available. I mean, that's something obvious that I kind of want to fix, and tests and all those kind of standard things as well.
Currently not a.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. So currently not available. There's your running balance and your available balance is the only thing that's coming through on the account stuff. But like I mentioned to Russell, yeah, I think it's definitely something that we need to address.
Sure.
I also hard coded my credit limit, Peter.
Okay, yeah, because it's just that I realized in what I submitted, I didn't take the pending transactions into account when I was transferring money across, and yeah, I kind of added that logic in now, but I'm kind of hard coding my credit limit, which I guess is fine, but yeah.
I've just made mine a parameter that can be maintained.
Yeah, so I think from a feedback perspective, I really like the real world application. It's very sweet. I think then, yeah, so I think probably the one thing that I would say is potentially creating some kind of UI where you can manage those parameters. And so, for instance, add as opposed to going through the deployment cycle to change those parameters, i.e. the regular expressions or the minimum balance, etc., just to make it easier for the consumer, you the consumer, etc., just to play around with it a bit. But overall, freaking awesome. And I think, like Nick was saying, just that applying back into the community from your learnings, etc. I think it's struggles that every new Azure guys are going through.
Cool.
So sweet.
Thanks.
Cool. Thank you, Peter. So the last one for tonight, and not the least one, the run to the bulls, which is also, I got to come up with a prize for the best name projects or something, because these things are really quite good. Yeah. So what is your work? Yeah. Cool. Jan, man.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I must say, I think I'm most proud of my my name, and also the icon that I found that I'll show now that matches it.
Okay.
Screen one. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think I've met most of you, but thanks for having me. Yeah, so a little bit of context for my submission here is I'm a runner, or I think I run more than the average person, or at least the average developer, and I go through running shoes quite quickly, and they are getting expensive, or at least the nice ones. So it's kind of a problem, and I would like to be able to save for a new pair, but it's also difficult to know when I'll need a new pair, because I don't, so I can run, I have multiple shoes for different occasions, for like running on trail or road or racing, and I don't use them all at the same frequency. It's hard to say, like in 3 months' time I'll need a new pair, because it depends on how much I actually use that pair, for it to know when it reached its limit. So what I came up with was this way of automatically saving for replacement shoes, by integrating with Strava, which is this social activity sharing site. So I get my activities from there. So if there's an update, it will let my app know that there was a new event, and in the app I log the shoe that I ran with, and then based on that yeah, I'll get the distance and make a calculation to determine what's the amount that needs to be saved. So, and then I transfer that from my current account to my savings account. Yeah, so I think I'm going to show you a use case now. Let's just see if I covered everything here. Please interrupt me if I'm not making sense. So I want to start with, so I'm going to start with uploading an activity from, I think, yesterday. Yeah, I haven't uploaded it yet. So yeah, so I first go into my Garmin app because I have a Garmin watch. And then after I sync my watch with Garmin here, it will sync it with Strava. And let's just give this a second. Okay, so this is going to sync now, and when this circle completes, then you'll see we'll get a notification there on that Strava received my activity. But while that's running, I just want to show you the front end that I built. This wasn't part of the submission. I just didn't have time before then, but I wanted to do a better way of visualizing the submission for today. So this is just my home screen, and so you can link your Investec account here by, at the moment, you can just add your ID and secret like this because I don't have auth yet. And if I click here, this will kick off the Strava auth flow, auth2 flow, auth flow. But that's already done for my profile. And then the first step, so the items that's being shown here, they live in the MongoDB database that's living locally. So I want to show you, yeah, so I just saw the notification came through there, so you can see there there's a little Strava icon at the top right of my mobile screen, and that means Strava got my upload. But I want to show you just on where my server is running, this little text here at the bottom just says it received this update and it will sync in 2 minutes, and I'll explain why in a second. Just back to the app. So the process here is you can add gear. In Strava they call it gear, but in my case it's just shoes. And this is now pulled from Strava's API, and so I haven't added my New Balance shoes yet. And once I selected them, it gets, so this distance is what Strava says is the amount that I've ran with this pair. And then I can go and define the lifespan of these shoes. So I think I can maybe run 900 kilometers in total with them, and to replace them will cost around 2,000 Rand. And just because I want to avoid now making too big transactions, I'm going to say that I've already saved 1,000. And then I add this. You can see it will add to the screen here. So yeah, so this is the overview of my of the front end. But then let's go back to my server here. So it's still so what happened now in the background while since my server found the activity was that so Strava, maybe I forgot to show. Okay, so there that already came through, but I forgot to show just the activity. Maybe it's better to show you. So yeah, I'm all over the place. So the activity that I just uploaded was this one. It was for 8 kilometers. So yeah, so when I receive this notification that when Strava tells me there's a new update, they don't update the gear information immediately. So it takes a while for that data to show on their side. So that's why I'm waiting 2 minutes here before I actually go and pull the latest data. And so I just wait 2 minutes and then I put it and then I go and calculate. So I get the new totals, just an example of what the totals look like. So this is like an overview of my shoes at the moment. So I pull this data and I compare it to what I have in my MongoDB database. Let's see if I can, this is not in the way. I compare it with these items here, and then I go and calculate the distance difference. And based on that, I'll take the replacement value, minus it by the contributions that were already made by the savings, divide that by the number of kilometers left before it reaches its end or its end of life, and then get this value per kilometer that's left and times that by the distance of an activity and get an amount, which is now this 30 Rand. And then actually do that transfer. And let's see just on my phone if I actually got the notification. Yeah. So there it is. And then it's supposed to also update on my front end if I press refresh. So there you can see there's 30 Rand that's added there. Yeah, so that's kind of the main flow or feature. Don't want to bore you with any other details. I'll guess it's better if you can maybe guide me with questions of what you're interested to see. Maybe part of the tech stack, or I don't know. Yeah, up to you.
Jan, burning question that I had while going through the submission. Was this idea present before the submission? Or have you been doing this manually for a while, or did the idea of doing this, i.e. saving on kilometers, get sparked through the submission?
Yeah, through the submission. So the problem exists.
Cool.
I mean, the problem, I have this problem that shoes are expensive and I don't have a good way of saving for them. But the solution I haven't thought of before the hackathon. I didn't think of solving it. I haven't tried solving it before. So, yeah.
Sweet.
That's very cool. I like that you used on MongoDB. I'm just going to say that. I like that you use MongoDB.
Yeah, I also started with Amplify, AWS, and so DynamoDB and stuff, but I found the local development not inefficient, and then so I switched everything to local.
Cool. Thanks.
As someone that needs to start running again, this gave me inspiration to start running again. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
If there's anything else you guys want to find out, if you want to do a running club, programmable banking or running club, just make a post in the Slack group. We'll make it happen. Maybe we can sponsor some shirts. Just don't tell Aretha about it. It's all good. Cool. I think that's it. Jan, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate your submissions. And I think we can move on to why we are here, essentially. So find out who the winners are of the hackathon. Well, everyone is a winner. Well, the community, the guys who actually submitted, the guys who supported, the guys who submitted, the whole community is really the winners around this. Is very cool. We do have, there were some special mentions. There are 5 winning cash prizes, but everyone who have submitted a thing, they all win. Everyone wins very cool swag, exclusive swag. We've been working hard on getting some new swag for all of you guys, exclusive programmable banking community swag. So yeah, you guys are going to be the first to get all of that. So that's going to be pretty cool. So as a special mention, the 2 other teams, because there were 7 again, was Mo did this really cool, this Bank My Change one. You guys, I will post the leaderboard or after I've announced the winners, and you guys can see all the submissions, you can see all the repos, you guys can play around with it in repo. And there was Hot Bubbling, which was also Kamakelo's submission. He also did that, and that's actually pretty interesting. He worked with his teammates around that one, so those were cool. So moving on to the prize giving. I don't have some music. I know I should have some music. So I'm like, Pata things. This isn't butter. The other ideations, I had some cool things, but
Nick, just sing. Make your own music.
No, Stephen said that he was going to make some music. He was going to sing. So, so
you just threw Stephen under the bus.
No. We spoke about this before. It's all good. So we're going to move on to the fifth prize winners. The winner, again, everyone's submissions were all great. As Henny, Hugs, ran out, they all mentioned it was very hard to actually pick definitive winners, and it literally came down to 0.7 or 0.2 sort of whole difference between a lot of these ones. So yeah. So the fifth prize winner is Home Loans. Peter, Thomas, you guys won fifth prize. Well done, guys. I'll be in contact again with all. Not a problem, man. We will take a big photo, happy photo. Woo! Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Stephen. We will do a big little photo, post all of this. So you guys, well done, guys. For fourth prize, Mike White, your cash.
Yeah.
Well done, mate. Yeah. Yeah, well done, mate. Well done. Congrats. Woo! Yeah, there we go. Thank you. And for third place, for 10,000, Ricky, your maximizer one was very cool.
Ricky!
Thanks.
Yeah, there we go, Ricky. We'll do that. And then for our second prize, so I don't know if you guys can guess who the first and second guys are. I'm open to bribing now. I can change it quickly. It's all good. Okay, cool. For our second place winner, Jan, that one in the Bulls one. Very cool, mate. Very cool.
Ooh, that's a cool use case.
Very awesome.
Thanks a
That
lot.
was very cool. Not a problem. And then, of course, our first place, Russell Knight, for your one. You went winner hot chicken dinner. Your BankBot again was really cool.
Good job.
Awesome, man. Thanks very much.
Well done, Jay.
Yes, that's so exciting.
God, well done, guys. Well done. If you don't mind, can we take a quick little pic of everyone? If you can put your cameras on, we'd really appreciate that. For a quick view, you can switch it on or later, or switch it off later. Well done, guys. But I'll take a quick pic. Kellen, I see you, mate. Cool. You won score. Thanks, man. Okay, guys, I'll take 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me do one more. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. I'll do one more for safety reasons. Hello, Pumsa. Cool. Ernst, thanks, man. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Well done to all of you guys. Really great work. Let me just get back on things. I will be in contact with all of you guys to get all your banking details and everything else. So yeah, don't worry. I've got you on this one. It's all good. Okay. So then, of course, we wouldn't have been able to do any of this without our awesome judges. If anyone manages to find Hugs and take a picture of Hugs, please let me know, because he doesn't have pictures of himself. So please, I will put a bounty on his head to get a picture of him. So, but Hugs, Reinhardt, Henny, guys, thank you very much. You're part of the community. Guys, you've been part of the community from the beginning, and we just really appreciate you putting the time and the effort into just giving some advice and helping guys out, because that's what really the community is about. Is just people just helping other people. Cool. So guys, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of the community's heart. Thank you for your time.
Awesome.
And of course, I'll send you guys swag as usual. You know what I mean? Cool. But of course, we wouldn't have been able to do any of this stuff without the community. The community is really the critical part to all of this, guys. Thank you very much for being cool, for being involved, for supporting guys, and just doing things. This is one of those whole hackathons where we had a lot of guys who self-proclaim that they're not devs, that they're not coders, but they still got involved. They still tried it, and I think that talks a lot to what the community has been building over the last few months. Is how do we make the programmable banking more accessible and more real to the public and to everyone to figure out, hey, I've got a problem, I can use programmable banking to fix it, and they fix it. So thank you very much for everyone for doing that. Well done, mate. Cool. Of the usual, for the guys on the call, please, if you have any event feedback, feedback for tonight, feedback on the hackathon or anything around that, please, I'll pick out some more guys. You will win some swag. I'll pick out some guys. I'd really appreciate any feedback that you guys might have around the event of how we can make it cooler and better for you guys and more helpful for you guys. Just while we got some time left, just some lessons learned around the hackathon. Thought you guys might, because you guys have demoed, what you've done. So let me demo what I've done very quickly, and just some lessons learned around that. So I really appreciate the one-on-one talks that I've had with a number of users. I've phoned quite literally about 180 odd community members, WhatsApped more, Slacked and emailed and harassed a lot more. But I really appreciate the one-on-one chats with all of you guys. Has been really cool to get involved. The group ideation session that we had was really fantastic and really a bit crazy. I think we all use Butter a bit more, because Butter seems to actually be pretty cool. So we'll use that a bit more for the ideation sort of sessions. Yeah, as I mentioned, a lot of the peeps who submitted their builds, they consider themselves as non-coders. So that was really a thing to the products and what you guys as a community have helped to build, that anyone feels as if they feel comfortable to play around with it, which was really cool. The Slack group helped, was informative. Judges from the community, as always, was really cool. The guys really knew how it was. They participated in the community. They participated in the whole hackathon. They weren't just some random people. So yeah, cool. And there was a lot more sort of learnings around that. So for our next meetup that we're going to have, it will be in Jan. I will let you guys know about the date, but it's normally on the Thursday of the month. So it will probably be around there, Jan. And that's where Henny is in the spotlight. He's got a demo for us that he's been fiddling around with. Yeah, Henny, I'll put you on the spot on that one. So Henny's committed now.
The bus.
Yeah, it's got a bus, truck, plane. I'm throwing it at you, but so he's going to be doing a whole demo that he's been working on the sly on that. That one, but then they'll also chat about what they've planned for that quarter, and of course what they've launched in this quarter and what they've done, and then get your feedback as a community of what you want to see next. So the library thing, Frederick, you mentioned the library sort of stuff. So yeah, cool, guys. Any questions? Anything before we wrap up or call it?
I just want to quickly jump in.
Please.
I think probably the thing about the submissions that was probably the most exciting was that the complete ethos of programmable banking and etc. came through in the submissions. One, it was various levels of amateur / and novice programming. So basically just bringing the skills that I've got in order to solve my problem. So that I think was awesome. I think the second piece was there was real world scenarios that the guys could solve with the tooling. So it just because the banks don't have can't do the bespoke services and feature and tooling for everybody's needs. But I think with exposing those tools and the guys understanding the problem that you've got. So Russell's got a specific need. Jan has got a specific need. You could solve those problems with tech and from various levels of technical understanding. So for me, that was very so exciting. I think it's gaining momentum, and it's software will eat world.
Fully agree. Cool. anyone else would like to share something? The floor is open for you guys.
Well done, and thanks for having me, folks. It's pretty amazing to see people doing stuff themselves, learning new things as well, playing with new technologies. Super rad, super rad. It's really fun to be a part of it.
Cool. Rita?
I just want to say well done. Like I can't build stuff like that and it's super useful. It's really nice to see so many different use cases. So Henny, you just have to keep bringing out new features for us to play with.
Please. Yeah.
No pressure.
Ernst, come on. You guys are on the, I'm going to chuck you under the bus next. Okay. Cool. Thanks, guys. If there's anything else, please feel free to ask in the Slack group. Please feel free to continue the discussion. Everyone in this call is in the Slack group. So yeah, if you want to find out more about any of these projects, just take a look at the leaderboard. I'll post all the links again in the Slack group and the videos, and I'll be in contact with all of the guys about it. But again, you can win some more swag yourself by just filling in the feedback form also. Cool. Guys, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I know this is the last one of the year, and I love you all for being a part of this. Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys. And girls. Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Oh yeah, heavy lag on Kate on. Oh, sorry.
Thanks, Nick. Bye, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, cheers. Sorry, Matt. Your lag's pretty bad there. I'll check you on the flip side.